We were quite confused when we watched the first test. It was the same shot, but it was a different take. It was the same lines, it was the same camera movements, but the performances were different. And the length of each shot was slightly different. Every performance is slightly different. Every movement is slightly different. The editing is different. The length of every single shot in both of these sources is completely different. And that really threw us for a loop. The next steps were to determine, why are we seeing two different versions of this film, and where does the UNLV print come into play? It's always important to preserve a film in the way it was originally presented, and these two versions are telling us that one of these may be the theatrical domestic version, and the other one may be a different version. And so I had to get down to the bottom of it. Luckily, the Academy's Margaret Herrick Library holds the Lewis Milestone papers, and within those papers are the production files for the front page. And it's not very often that a film preservationist gets the answer in black and white to their question, but I was able to uncover that there were three different versions of the front page made in 1931.
The documents in the Lewis Milestone collection show that there were three negatives made on the front page, one for domestic use, one for UK distribution, and a general foreign version. Now, back in the 30s and into the silent era, there were no duplicating stocks of sufficient quality so that you could make and cut together one negative and then make internegatives for these different markets. Every print that was made had to be made from a camera negative, a piece of film that actually passed through a camera. So in the silent era, it was common practice to have 2 or even 3 cameras on set recording, filming at the same time, so that the take that the director decided was the best one, you could take the corresponding negative from each of those 3 cameras. As the sound in the talkie era begins, it's impossible to have multiple cameras on set, so your only alternative is to use the one camera and take multiple takes and then select a take for each of those 3 negatives. Now, it was common practice from the silent era to put all of your best takes, your best opticals, your best special effects, your best performances, your best camera moves, to put the very best into the domestic negative, and then to take the second best for the UK negative and the third best for the general foreign version. Now, all of these bootleg copies come from the Library of Congress print, which we believe is the general foreign version. So it's the third best performances, the third best camera moves, the third best takes, and the least amount of attention paid to cutting, to pacing, to editing. And when you compare the domestic version of the front page to the general foreign version of the front page, you see all of these things coming out, and you start to realize that this domestic version is the movie improved in subtle and not so subtle ways.